You're listening to Beyond Wellness Radio, bringing you the cutting edge in health, biohacking, and sports performance. Stay up to date and listen anywhere and anytime on your computer, tablet, or smartphone by subscribing on iTunes. Catch your host, Dr. Justin Marcagiani, as he answers your burning health questions as well as interviews from world-renowned guest experts. For more Beyond Wellness Radio, go to beyondwellnessradio.com.
Hey there, it's Dr. Justin Marcagiani. Welcome to Beyond Wellness Radio. Feel free and head over to beyondwellnessradio.com where you can access our full podcast transcriptions. While you're there, you can also sign up for our thyroid and female hormone video series. This series goes into the root cause of why your hormones are out of balance. While you're there, you can also schedule a functional medicine consult with Dr. Justin, myself, where we'll dig deeper into the root cause of your health challenges. Feel free and think of sharing this podcast with at least one person. This podcast grows by people sharing it. Sharing is caring. If you can think of one person that can benefit from this information, please feel free and share it. If you're enjoying the podcast, make sure you subscribe on iTunes. You can also click below the video or podcast where you'll see the iTunes review button and leave us a review. You can also sign up for the newsletter at beyondwellnessradio.com where you'll get updates before anyone else. Thank you so much and enjoy the show. Hey there, it's Dr. Justin Marcagiani. Welcome back to the podcast. We have Ryan Brinkerhoff here, who is a hyperbaric expert. We're going to talk about hyperbaric oxygen therapy and what it can be good for. Ryan's website is InsideOut Hyperbarics.com. He's out of St. George, Utah. He's a clinic where he treats people with patients with all kinds of different issues, from autism to brain injuries, to trauma, to strokes, to aneurysms. And we're using these type of therapies to naturally help that tissue heal and ideally get back to optimal function as much as possible. Hey, Ryan, welcome to the podcast.
Pleasure to be here, doctor. Thank you.
Oh, great. Well, talk to us about hyperbarics. What is this technology? Can you kind of break it down? How does someone utilize it and apply it, and who's it good for?
Okay, so hyperbarics basically just kind of paint a picture of what it is. So you'll get into a pressurized chamber, and while you're in there, you're going to breathe 100% oxygen the whole time. And so there's a lot of things that happen inside the body when you're inside of a chamber. The first thing is it's actually a law of physics. It's called Henry's law. So the oxygen is actually being changed from a gas to a liquid. So instead of traveling attached to red blood cells like oxygen normally does, now it's being flooded through the plasma. So when that happens, you can get really, really high doses of oxygen into the extremities and mainly into the brain. So they'll see oxygen levels inside the brain go up 700 to 900% when you're doing this. A few other things that happen, stem cell production goes up. So your body naturally starts using the stem cells that are there to help your body go into a healing state. And then another cool feature is collagen production goes way up.
Oh, interesting.
So we actually get a lot of women in here that are using these hyperbaric chambers to kind of fight, doctor time and keep their youthful and vibrant looks.
So in general, like oxygen saturation in our environment's like 20, 21, 22%. So the whole goal is, number one, you're increasing that overall percentage, and it's pressurized. So it's getting absorbed more efficiently. Is that what's happening?
Right. So it's getting absorbed more efficiently, but it's also changing the way that it's delivered throughout your body. So again, like somebody, for instance, with anemia, right? So they're suffering from low oxygen because they don't have enough red blood cells to carry it.
Right.
So when you get in a hyperbaric chamber, you don't even need red blood cells to transport oxygen anymore. And that's the reason why they're starting to put these, in Louisiana right now, they're putting hyperbaric chambers on emergency vehicles. So if somebody loses a ton of blood, say they get stabbed or something happens, the whole race to get them back to the hospital to save their life is to give them blood so they can breathe, right? Well, if you throw somebody in a hyperbaric oxygen chamber, you do not have to have the red blood cells there. The body will still get the oxygen that it needs.
So are we still breathing all the oxygen in, or is this oxygen permeating through our skin or through other means outside of our sinuses?
No, you're still breathing it all in.
Yeah. It's just at a higher intensity, and it's pressurized, so it's getting into the cells, into the bloodstream, kind of not necessarily passively, but more actively from the pressure?
Exactly, yeah. So when it gets converted from its gas to its liquid state. Now it's just free flowing with the plasma instead of needing hemoglobin and red blood cells to travel. So that's why it gets in such higher concentrations.
Got it. So therapeutically, we're getting it in there more through an active transport, not necessarily a passive transport. If there's anemia, we're kind of bypassing that mechanism. And then having that high saturation of oxygen, so we're decreasing inflammation. So if someone has a brain injury, it's helping that tissue heal. So walk me through it. Someone comes in, they bump their head, they get in a car accident. Like, what does that protocol look like to help this person get better?
Well, the protocol really depends on their overall how they are health-wise, right? So if they were extremely healthy before they got the concussion, we start everybody out at about the same level. So we'll put them in a hyperbaric chamber for an hour. We'll adjust their oxygen to a specific level, and then we'll monitor how they do throughout the session and then when they get out. Because as you well know, you can give somebody too much oxygen and you can have side effects like headaches and vertigo kick in. So we basically have a process where we are just monitoring our patients all the way through their hyperbaric sessions. And essentially, we bump people up to about 90 minutes sessions. And that's the 45-minute to the 90-minute mark is where all the stem cell production happens. So we love to keep our patients in that Goldilocks zone as long as we possibly can. But we can't jump right to 90 minutes because then we, risk, giving them too much oxygen and have those side effects of that. So
I understand. So regarding like the timing of it, you're not going to have to worry about the over oxygen saturation if you keep it 90 minutes or below, essentially.
Right. Yeah. Yep. That's exactly right.
Okay. So if this frequency starts 90-minute session, right? Like what's that look like? Every day you're going to be coming in for the next month. What would that frequency look like if someone had a significant trauma?
So if it's significant, we recommend that they come in 5 days a week. And the other thing my company does is we actually offer rental units. So we will take hyperbaric chambers right to somebody's home.
Oh, wow.
So if they don't live in the St. George area or if they're in a situation where they can't travel in every day, we'll put a chamber right in their home so they can get that, help that they need right there from the comfort of their own home.
Oh, that's great. And then regarding that, so someone comes in, they're going to be doing this probably at least for a month. And then basically the oxygen, you said it's helping with the stem cell production. It's helping with oxygenation. It's reducing inflammation. What other mechanisms neurologically is it affecting? So
one of the really cool ones that they discovered a few years ago was it actually upregulates the antioxidants in your body. Mm-hmm. So when they first started studying hyperbarics, everybody's always worried about oxygenated damage in the body.
Yes.
And so they did a study, and after the first session, they saw a little rise in free radical damage. But then after that, they saw those numbers drop, and they continue to drop throughout all the treatments. So it stimulates your body to use antioxidants more effectively. So that's one of the other amazing things that hyperbarics does.
And can you use hyperbarics for like wellness care? Like, let's say you're like myself or yourself, you're already in good health. Could you use this type of therapy just to accelerate your health or improve your health above and beyond?
Yeah, you sure can. So I have a couple of gentlemen here that are getting older. They're clinical psychologists, and they noticed their brain wasn't as sharp as it used to be before. They get a lot of brain fog. Well, anytime when they have big meetings coming up or they're doing podcasts, things like that, they'll come in and get in the chambers beforehand, go out and then just kill it. Their memory gets insanely sharp. The one gentleman had failed his last two pre-dementia screenings. So he came in and did about 60 sessions, went back and took those same screenings again and just aced them.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
What about professional athletes? Are you seeing a lot of athletes that are, putting their body under wear and tear, sleeping in these things or utilizing them as an acceleration to help their body heal?
Right, yeah. So we see a ton of marathoners here. St. George is a big area. We have an Ironman competition here, and also tons of marathons throughout the year. So I have a group of marathoners every time when the races are coming up. They'll come and start hitting the hyperbarics about a week before. They'll hit their PRs in their marathons, and then they'll come in about a week afterwards to help their bodies heal up from the strain they just put them through. So and we see that with a lot of CrossFit athletes as well.
Oh, excellent. And how did you actually get into this field? Because this is were you in the health field before you jumped into hyperbarics?
No, I actually wasn't. I was actually in the computer technology world, mainly on in the oil industry. Hyperbarics all came about for me from having been stricken with a disease that, depending on what neurologist I saw, it was either ALS or MS. And it turns out I had Lyme's disease.
Okay.
And so I did a ton of different interventions to try to get myself back to full levels of health.
Right.
And I could only get about 80% was the best I could achieve. And then once I got into hyperbarics, then I just saw my health accelerate to where it is now. And now I have no symptoms whatsoever. So it was a really integral part of getting me back to where I am today.
Are there any adjunct therapies that you think are very synergistic to combine with hyperbarics, or maybe therapies that you do combine with hyperbarics at your clinic already?
Yeah, so there is a machine called a beamer. It's a beamer. And it basically
EMF, basically, right? Pulsed electromagnetic frequency.
That's it. That's the one. And so it stimulates microcirculation, right? So we have our clientele, some of them will get in on the beamer mat before they get in, really open up those capillaries, get everything ready. And then we throw them in the hyperbaric chamber, and it seems to quantify the power and effects of the chambers.
Excellent. So when you combine these therapies, you typically do hyperbarics first and then do the PEMF second?
No, we do the PEMF first to really open everything up, and then we throw them in the hyperbaric chambers afterwards.
Very good. Do you have any good case studies that you typically, any recent patient success stories that you want to share?
Yeah, so one thing we do at our clinic is we will donate our hyperbaric chambers time to local veterans when they're not being used by our paid customers. On our website, InsideOutHyperbarics.com, we have a testimonial on there from a vet who basically was suffering from PTSD so bad that his whole life had fallen apart. And after about 30 sessions, he was back working again. And after about 90 sessions, he's completely healed. He's got a job. He just graduated with high marks from Dixie State University here and is just loving and living life again. And he will be the first one to tell you it was all the hyperbarics that helped heal his brain and get him back to that point.
Excellent. Are there any nutritional strategies that you combine with it, or diet or lifestyle strategies? Someone comes in, obviously, if you're just eating McDonald's or crappy food, it may just kind of be like an uphill battle utilizing a therapeutic modality when there's so much crap going on in their life. How do you combine other healthy lifestyle or diet habits? And what kind of things do you recommend?
Yeah, so we have a dietitian that is on staff here that actually teaches at the local college here too. She's a professor there. And you're 100% right. I tell people all the time, you come in here and we're eliminating inflammation, and then you go out and you get your McDonald's or you smoke your cigarettes, drink your soda pops. You're counteracting everything that we've just done. So we like to get people on a very good diet. We do tons of supplementation after we check blood work. We also look at genetics too to see if MTHFR and COMT and a bunch of these things are playing roles in their health. And so we build a whole program around the individual. We don't have a set program for everybody. We look at everybody as an individual, and it's up to us to design a program for them and them to follow through with that program.
Are there any objective measurements that you combine with the hyperbaric therapy? Do you do any like PET scan or like the type of scan that SPECT scan that Daniel Amen does? Or do you do any EEG stuff or brain mapping before and after? What's your experience with that?
So we have not done any brain imagery stuff yet.
Yeah.
I've got a neurologist who wants to start doing some studies with us, but there's actually a couple doctors out there that are really killing it right now, where you can actually go to their websites and look and see their brain images, and it shows the brain is actually healing itself. I mean, one of the biggest lies I think that I was told when I was younger is, you've only got X amount of brain cells, so you've got to make sure you take care of them, right? Because once they're dead, they're dead. And I always thought, well, our liver is rebuilding itself constantly. Our kidneys,
why is hair, skin, right?
Yeah, everything is rebuilding. And now with SPECT scans and things like that, they can actually show the brain is being repaired while you're in a hyperbaric chamber. This is one reason why NFL teams are now having hyperbaric facilities installed at all their training facilities. You get a head injury, everybody's worried about CT now. Well, you get a concussion, they're going to throw you right in a hyperbaric chamber because it's proven to actually heal the brain.
What other nutrients do you combine with it from a supplement standpoint? Do you do any of the resveratrol or the alpha GPC compounds? I've seen some interesting research on those really helping to cool and quiet the inflammation, as well as some of these NRF2 compounds like green tea, ashwagandha. What supplements have you seen the best success with that you use in conjunction with the hyperbarics?
Well, you mentioned a couple of them right there. Resveratrol is a huge one that we use, and we always put every one of our patients on antioxidants, a really good antioxidant formula, just to make sure that they have everything there in place so they can combat the oxidative stress and get all the benefits.
Right. So. And what kind of antioxidants outside of like your vitamin A, D, E, and K? Anything else specifically?
Those are actually the main ones that we use. I was actually hoping to get with you and see if you could help throw me together a little protocol for that as well. Because I know you understand those things better than most anybody else I listen to on the internet. So I was going to try to collaborate with you to develop a specific supplement.
Yeah, I think there's definitely some good compounds in there. The alpha GPC compounds are excellent. The Nerf2 compounds, the green tea, the curcumin, the resveratrol, a lot of the mitochondrial nutrients like the carnitine and the ribose. Just because there's a lot of mitochondria density in the brain, and when these tissues get injured, right, we need oxygen for the mitochondria, but we also need some of these nutrients and to help combat the oxidative stress. So yeah, that sounds great. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
And now, is there anything else that you wanted to highlight? What are the top three people? What are the top three average patients? What are they coming in for? Is it just they bump their head, or is it just hey, they're having some brain fog or Alzheimer's, dementia? What are you typically seeing?
So in an average day, we'll probably see 4 to 5 different types of disease processes that people are trying to get help with. Of course, we have the athletes coming in for that, that edge that they can get by using the hyperbaric chambers. But for instance, one thing that we've seen a lot with lately is GI issues. There's actually a ton of research now being done with hyperbarics and GI issues, and it all came apart as a scientist whose wife had gotten a car accident. She got a major concussion, had some problems, and so he started throwing her a hyperbaric chamber. But as he was going along through the sessions, he noticed that her symptoms of Crohn's disease was starting to disappear. And he talked to friends about this and everything like that. And then Rice University and the University of Israel combined on a study to take a bunch of people with IBS problems, put them in hyperbaric chambers and see what happened. And it was 80% or higher that these people were getting reduction in their symptoms or complete elimination. So now I've been doing a lot of radio spots about that, and we are starting to see a lot more folks come through the doors with intestinal issues. Another big one we see is brain fog. So you'll have people that come in that are tired, wore out, and one of their main symptoms is they'll have brain fog. Well, when you get tons of fuel in the brain and the central nervous system, the body starts running on a lot higher level. And so they'll see their brain fog and fatigue issues disappear for a week after only one session. So it's a great pick-me-up for those folks who are looking for it too.
Oh, wow. That's great. Yeah. I have seen research on the fact that if you have brain trauma or head trauma, a lot of times the brain, if there's injury to it or inflammation, it can actually cause leaky gut. A lot of people know, okay, I eat gluten, I have an infection, I have food allergens, that leaky gut can those immune compounds can create in the bloodstream, make their way to the brain and create brain inflammation and brain fog. But it can also work the other direction. If we have impact or inflammation, stress that hits the brain directly, that can easily drive gut permeability and then create more gut issues. So that makes sense, because if this is the root issue that caused it all and we get that better, that could help with the gut permeability down south.
Yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned that too, because when I got super sick, I fell and got a really bad concussion. And then I developed rheumatoid arthritis probably about 2 weeks after that, which I'd never had. And it turned out it was an issue with gluten at that point. When I quit eating the gluten, the RA went away, but I never had that problem with the gluten until I got that major concussion. So I didn't know they were studying that, but that just answered a question for me I've had for a very long time.
Absolutely. So if there was there wasn't a lot of gut issues, but then the head stuff happened first, that could be the root issue. So that's great. So if someone walks into your clinic, what's your clinic like? How many hyperbaric chambers do you have? Someone walks in, is what's the typical, I know it's going to be customized, right? But what's the typical protocol? 3 times a week, 60 to 90 minutes? And how many people can you service at once in your clinic?
So we have 3 chambers here right now, and plus we have 9 rental chambers out there in the field. So in-house, pretty much all day long, we'll have 1 to 2 of our chambers running at all times, and a lot of the times, and then half of the day we're pretty much booked up. So folks will come in, we will get them squared away. We do a very extensive medical history, because I want to know, are you working in a chemical plant? I want to know a lot about your lifestyle and everything like that, so we can help address that. But on a day-to-day basis, we just have folks coming in. Usually 3 times a week is what we recommend, unless there are serious issues going on. And then we recommend folks come in 5 days a week.
If someone needs to rent a unit from you, but let's say they're not in Utah, is it possible for you to get them set up with a rental, or do they have to be relatively local?
Right. So we travel about a 10-hour area anywhere from southern Utah, but I'm working with a company right now to get it set up with some little containers. Because not only do you have just the hyperbaric chamber you got to ship, but you have the oxygen concentrators, the compressors, everything like that. So
that can be explosive, right? If it's compressed like that.
Right. Yeah. So, well, we don't use compressed oxygen. We use what they call a concentrator. So ambient air takes all the nitrogen, everything else out of it, and then just pushes straight oxygen to our patients.
Excellent. So I think we hit over, a lot of the major benefits of hyperbarics and how could it be applied, and who are some of the best candidates, right? We talked about strokes. We talked about concussions, brain trauma, brain inflammation, potentially even kids that have autism as well, right?
Right, yeah.
Of minor brain inflammation. Is there any other person that this type of therapy is a good fit for?
Anybody that's just trying to take their health to that next level. Like me with Lyme's disease, for instance, it's known in the clinical literature now that it is a juggernaut against microbes, because most of the nasty microbes are anaerobic. Right. And some of them actually live in the blood. So when you're putting that oxygen right into the plasma, you are not only sending a life source for yourself, but you're actually killing microbes off extremely faster in the blood. So, and like I said, I got to a plateau of about 80%. I was stuck there for about 3 years. And then once I started the hyperbarics, it was just the icing on the cake. Not only, I think, eliminating microbes, but also getting my body functioning the way it did prior to the infection.
Excellent. Very cool. And is there any other information that you think is important or that we haven't quite gone over yet that you want to highlight before we go?
One of the main things, pretty much the main thing I'd like to highlight is hyperbarics are amazing. They do a lot of wonderful things, but I don't want anybody to think they can just, go visit a hyperbaric clinic somewhere and magically everything's going to change in their body. Right. You'll see some benefit, but the holistic approach of addressing every part of healing is what really is the cornerstone to anybody getting better in any situation. So I don't want folks to be misled thinking I'm saying hyperbarics can fix everything, because it won't. But I think it is an integral part of somebody's healing modality if they'd like to try it.
That's great. Well, if you're in the St. George, Utah area, InsideOut Hyperbarics with an S, we'll put the link down there below. Is there any other avenues or social media places where people could find you online?
Yeah, we have Facebook. We got our InsideOut Hyperbarics and Wellness Center. And I think we've got a YouTube page up as well where you can see a bunch of our videos. It's just InsideOut Hyperbarics. And we do a lot of radio stuff and hopefully more podcast stuff with folks like you.
Oh, great. Awesome, Ryan. Well, I appreciate you jumping on the show here today and dropping some good knowledge bombs. And thank you for everything. And you have a phenomenal day.
Thanks, Dr. J. We'll see you later.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Awesome.
Got a question for Dr. J? Go to BeyondWellnessRadio.com and click the questions button. Then tune in to hear the answer. Also, if you like the show, click below to review us on iTunes. For more Beyond Wellness Radio, go to BeyondWellnessRadio.com.